Lansing's only sports station. The Game, 7:30.
Let's play.
It's award season, and we're not just talking about the Grammys. We've got scholarships for student athletes and the highest MHSAA honor for an AD from the UP. I'm John Ross, and this is This Week in High School Sports, powered by Michigan Student Aid. We are into February, which means the announcing of the MHSAA Farm Bureau Insurance Scholar Athlete Award winners. For the last 35 years, Farm Bureau has been awarding scholarships to student athletes, this year awarding $2,000 each to 32 winners. This week, the first 10 winners have been announced, with those 10 coming from Class C and D schools. The remaining 22 winners will be announced over the next 2 weeks. More than 1,600 students applied for the awards. To be eligible, a student must have earned at least one letter in a varsity sport sponsored by the MHSAA, carry at least a 3.5 grade point average, write an essay on the importance of sportsmanship, and show active participation in other school and community activities. Log on to MHSAA.com to see a write-up of each of the winners. A bio, college plans, and a quote from their essay are all available. Each of the 32 scholarship recipients will be honored on March 16th during the MHSAA Boys Basketball Finals at the Breslin Center on the campus of Michigan State University. In 35 years of this program, Farm Bureau has awarded more than $1 million to MHSAA student athletes. It's time for Game Balls, when we highlight a trio of standout performances from the past week. First, Ethan and Landon Moreland of Three Rivers. The wrestlers helped the Wildcats to their first Wolverine Conference championship since 2004. Ethan took first at 126 pounds, Landon at 150 pounds. To Mason's Kason Carswell, he scored 15 in a win over St. John's. The win was the Bulldogs' 9th straight and gave them at least a share of the CAAC Red title, their first back-to-back league titles since 1963. And Cadillac's Annalie Wallace. She finished first in both slalom and giant slalom. Yes, there is downhill skiing going on despite the warm temps, as Cadillac won both the girls' and boys' side of the Cadillac Invite.
For high school seniors, the matchup of the year isn't on the field. It's actually online. That's right. When you fill out the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, you could also be eligible for thousands of dollars in additional money from the Michigan Achievement Scholarship. Yep, nearly 80% of students who fill out the FAFSA may be eligible. Now that's a matchup we can all root for. Get started today at michigan.gov/achievement. The Michigan Achievement Scholarship. It's a game changer.
Our weekly Be the Referee feature takes a look at the fine art of officiating with registered official Paige Winnie.
The three most common penalties in high school hockey are tripping, slashing, and hooking. What's the difference between them? It's pretty self-explanatory. Tripping is when a player uses their stick to make another player fall. Slashing is when a player swings their stick at another player, whether contact is made or not. And hooking is using your stick to slow an opponent down, usually the puck handler. Hooking differs from holding in that hooking involves the use of the stick to slow an opponent down, while holding is done with the hands. All these penalties, tripping, slashing, hooking, and holding, will result in at least 2 minutes in the penalty box.
Thanks, Paige. Now more than ever, we need officials. If you're interested, please go to the MHSAA website now to register. While we're talking about awards, the recipient of the 2024 Charles Forsyth Lifetime Achievement Award is Calumet's Sean Jacques. Jacques graduated from Calumet before returning to serve in a variety of roles. He was a teacher, assistant principal, and athletic director for the Copper Kings, and is currently an instructor for the Upper Peninsula Virtual Academy. During his tenure as AD, Calumet added numerous sports and athletic Hall of Fame, and he led facilities upgrades across campus. In 2016, Calumet became the only UP school to earn the prestigious Michigan Exemplary Athletic Program honor from the Michigan Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association. Jacques was named Regional AD of the Year in 2013 and 2016, and UP AD of the Year in 2019. The Forsyth Award is in its 47th year, and it goes to individuals with outstanding contributions to interscholastic athletics at the local, regional, and statewide levels. He will be honored during the MHSAA Girls Basketball Finals on March 23rd at the Breslin Center. For more on Jacques and to see a list of past winners, please visit MHSAA.com. You've been listening to This Week in High School Sports, powered by Michigan Student Aid, a production of the MHSAA Network. Thanks for joining us. I'm John Ross, and we'll be back next week.
Lansing's only sports station. The Game, 7:30.
Let's play.
And a pleasant, good Saturday morning to everyone out there listening on the Game, 7:30 a.m. WVFN. This is High School Rewind, the weekly show that recaps the week that was in boys and girls basketball, and we'll get right to it. Normally, I like to do coaches' interviews in the second segment of the show after I recap what went on during the week, both boys and girls basketball, but this gentleman was only available at this particular time at the top of the show, and we will start the show with him today. He's the sixth-year head coach of East Lansing boys basketball. He's Ray Mitchell, and man, what an atmosphere it was last night at Waverly High School for East Lansing at Waverly. East Lansing wins it 57-53, and Coach Mitchell joining me now on the show. Coach, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, just like you said, it was a great atmosphere. I mean, the gym was packed. Actually, it seems like during the freshman game, they went to triple overtime.
Yeah.
And I was happy for those guys, the junior varsity guys, and definitely the varsity game. That atmosphere is how I envision this program and our rivals to play in those type of Friday night games, and it was just wonderful.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because the freshman game went so long. It went into triple overtime that the gym was nearly packed at the end of the freshman game. The junior varsity got to play in front of nearly a packed gym, and of course it was absolutely no seat to be had for the varsity game. That can only benefit, 9th and 10th graders who aren't good enough to play varsity, and give them a taste of what it's like to play in front of a packed house.
Yeah, that's exactly how it felt. Now, I mean, I was happy for those guys.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when the lower levels, the gyms aren't feel like that, but they got a taste of what it is. When you make it to the next level and ultimately to the varsity level.
Ray Mitchell joining us here now, the East Lansing boys basketball coach. Okay, let's get to the main event. Lived up to all the hype. East Lansing won it 57-53. And I see that you talked to Brian Calloway from the State Journal, Lansing State Journal, after the game. And you talked about being, really deep as a team. Everybody talks about the big three. I talk about the big three of Torbert, Branson, and Hudson. But because of foul trouble, and you had foul trouble last night, you went 11 deep, trying to steal some minutes in the second quarter, especially in the second quarter. Guys you don't normally see in a game of that magnitude. Guys like Cam Essel, Alan McGrew, Duarte Sams, Noah Lopez, Deontay Macy. Those kids played major minutes in the second quarter, again, because of the foul trouble. And they held their own.
Yeah, they sure did. I like to say that we're 15 deep. I know the big three, whatever, they get a lot of press, but, man, we are 15 strong. I believe in my team. I believe in every player on our team. I trust our guys. I think any situation I could put anyone from the top of the lineup to the bottom of the lineup in there to do their job, and that's what those guys did last night.
Just to steal a couple of minutes at the end of the half to prevent guys from getting a third foul, which certainly would have affected the game in the second half. You got out to a double-digit lead, but Waverly came back. They made plays, too. Deontay Pfeiffer, we know how good he is. Deshaunte Malone made some big plays as well. Louis McLeod had a big and one there that I believe gave them the lead. And, this Waverly squad, really, really good. Pfeiffer, 1,000-point scorer. And Deshaunte Malone's really stepped forward and been a point guard presence. And we know Derek Thomas has had a terrific year, but you're able to neutralize him a bit, 9 points and 4 rebounds. What do you do against him, defensively to hold him down? Because Derek Thomas II, one of the better sophomores in this area.
Yeah, luckily we have a lot of size, so we have a 6'7" guy, Christian Dunn, we could put on him. We also have a Big Ten athlete, Charlie Baker, that we could put on him as well. I mean, he still gets his touches. He still tries to take it to him, but I think that size just slows him down a little bit. But you got to give a shout-out to Coach watching those Waverly Warriors. Those guys fight and scrap and play hard. And I know they're never going to give up, and that's just how they play. They had us on the ropes, but luckily we pulled it out.
And you did behind, eventually your big three. Cam Hudson really struggled in the first half, again, because of foul trouble. He only had 2 points and 2 rebounds in the first half, but he scored 12 of his 14 in the second half. J.L. Branson, 17 points, 7 rebounds, and K.J. Torbert, man, 14 points, consistent all night. 11 rebounds from the guard position. I had 11 rebounds and 5 assists, and he made the 2 plays at the end on an offensive rebound putback, and then the steal at the very end, and then the dunk, which really put the game away. That was just a tremendous. I mean, Torbert has such great poise, and he plays older than what he really is. He's a 10th grader, but he plays older than that. You can tell he's played a lot of basketball games, and he just knows what he's doing, and he keeps his emotions, under control, and he just makes plays.
Yeah, like they say, big-time players make big-time plays. We've really been emphasizing hitting the boards, we talk about using our athleticism, and on the board, I never put it on there. I haven't put it on there all year, but I put it in 4 different areas: rebound, 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 rebound. And we've been talking about offensive rebounding, and, man, those guys are taking it to heart, and he came through for us, in the clutch. And, Tolbert obviously made some big plays, as well as J.L. Branson getting those 7 rebounds. That was huge. And Cam, finally being on the court after all the foul trouble, and having a big second half. So those guys really came through for us in the clutch when we really needed it.
Yeah, Cam Hudson pretty much played the fourth quarter, almost the entire fourth quarter, with 4 fouls. When he got his 4th foul, we could see you debating. We could tell you were debating on taking him out with the 4 fouls, but you let him ride it out. You let him play. And, man, he got through it, and, without fouling out. And, by the way, you talked about rebounding. Unofficially, Eric and I doing these stats. Of course, our stats are very unofficial, but we're pretty close. You out-rebounded him 2-1. 46 rebounds to 23.
Well, that's the best that we've done all year, but we've been emphasizing that, like I said, the last week or so, because we feel that we have size, we have athleticism, and if we can concentrate on those boards and limiting possessions and getting extra possessions, it'll help our team. So it did last night.
Yes, it did, and now your team is 16-2 overall. You're 8-0 in the CAAC Blue. Looks like it's going to come down to the last game of the season against Okemos at your gym coming up on February 23rd. You've got 4 games left, all in the league. You've got Holt at home next Monday, and Holt's playing a bit better right now. They won twice this week. They're 7-10, but they've played a lot better recently. You get DeWitt at home next Friday. Then you go to Grand Ledge on the 20th, a week from Tuesday, and then on the 23rd, you host Okemos, and that's very likely, or it's looking like it's going to be at least for a share of the league title for Okemos, and if you win that, you can win that thing outright. Things are looking good for you right now, and with the adversity of the foul trouble and your team comes through, I mean, that just has to help you confidence-wise as well. Hey, we had foul trouble. We had guys in foul trouble in an emotional atmosphere, and yet we pulled through.
No, definitely. That was a speech after the game. We also had 18 turnovers and about 10 missed layups. So we felt we didn't play our greatest game, but we still won. So that's a good sign. But, those are things you have to sure up, obviously, before we get to that last game. But, you got to take it one game at a time and just try to improve on those numbers.
Yeah, wow. How many 16 turnovers? Ooh, that is a little bit on the high side for a high school game. Hey, give credit to Waverly. They stuck it in there. I got to tell you, we expected both teams to play a little bit of zone. It wasn't that at all. It was straight, hard man-to-man all night long.
Yeah, both teams probably have the same mindset. When you're playing elite teams, you want to man them up. That's how you beat good teams. When you try to go to gimmicks, sometimes teams have counters for that, get easy buckets or easy looks. But, when you're one of the top teams in the state, you got to pull up those bootstraps and just man up, get a stop and make sure you're helping and use all your defensive principles that you practice throughout the year, throughout the week, and just trust your defensive philosophies.
Speaking with Ray Mitchell, the 6th-year head coach for East Lansing boys basketball. They're 16-2 right now, 8-0 in the league. You've got to coach against this guy for 3 years now. How good's Deontay Pfeiffer from your perspective?
Oh, Deontay Pfeiffer is definitely a Division I basketball player. obviously our strategy was to try to limit him and take him out as much as we possibly could. He really hurt us last game, so we wanted to make sure we kept all eyes on him and kept a body on him, try to deny him and just make it a tough night for him. And, he still got his numbers. He's a great player, and I know he's going to have a very successful college career.
Yeah, 16 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 blocked shots that he had. But, I mean, he still was able to get points and still able to make shots despite some really good defense. Coach Mitchell, Coach Ray Mitchell joining us here on High School Rewind. All right, we talked about what your schedule's going to be the rest of the way, all league games. But you've played a lot of games out of conference this year, statewide, played some of the best statewide competition. That's where your 2 losses came in. Warren Lincoln a few weeks ago, and then last Saturday against, arguably, some people believe they're the best team in the state in all classes, Orchard Lake St. Mary's. What did you tell your team after those 2 losses in particular?
Well, we set that schedule up like that for a reason. We had 8 non-conference games that I thought would challenge our team, give us different looks, help us play against all different types of styles across the state in different venues and different areas, so we could learn what we need to do if we want to make a run during the tournament. So I thought those were losses, but I thought they were more like lessons because a lot of teams don't play tough schedules like that. Then they get in the tournament, you come across a team like that, and then you're kind of overwhelmed or surprised. But, we play them early. Now we see what we need to get better at. And, you don't want to lose, but if you do lose, you lose early. You learn those lessons and you make adjustments and then try to prove on those areas. So when you see them again, you have your better chances to win.
Do you think games like Warren Lincoln and Orchard Lake St. Mary's and the other teams you played, East Kentwood, do you think that helped you against Waverly last night in some way?
No, it definitely did because Waverly had it going. They had the crowd going. I mean, the fans were on us. And, if you haven't played in those situations or in those environments, sometimes teams fold, and I think our team didn't. I mean, game even, those guys have the ball, we get a stop and score. Down up 2, we get another stop and score. Yeah, if we don't play in those games, that stuff doesn't happen. So, yes, it definitely did help us. Yeah, definitely. And by the way, kudos to the East Lansing administration and especially the Waverly administration, Scott Castile. They had Waverly teachers there trying to keep the crowd under control because it was very energetic in there. The Waverly student section was really, really into it, and they were really getting on your players, and some of that's understandable. That happens in high school, but they did a very good job of keeping it under control and not letting a situation that could have been not good. They kept it under control, and I got to tell you, in the handshake line, I really paid attention to that. Very good sportsmanship. A lot of those kids know each other, and they were high-fiving and handshaking and all of that stuff. And nothing really happened, and that was really good to see. Well, once again, this is the type of environment you want to play in. I mean, I always tell the kids, anytime we got a full house, if you don't like this situation, you shouldn't be playing basketball. Right? A lot of these kids, they've known each other from babies, man. They play so much ball with each other, against each other, so that they're all friends off the court. But, once you get in between those lines, it's going to be a battle. So with the fans, it's supposed to be like that. I mean, they're supposed to get on you, but it's supposed to be respectful, and they're supposed to cheer for their team. And, our cheering section is always great as well. So that makes for good high school basketball. And it didn't get over the line either. It got close a couple of times, especially with the Waverly student section, but they did a great job keeping it under control enough while still maintaining the great emotional game last night at Waverly. And you could play them again, and this is my last question. Your state tournament is coming up here. The district pairings are going to be announced next week. And, you're in a tough district. You got to go to Mason. Mason's a league champion. They're the CAAC Red Champs. They've only got 2 losses this season. You've got Okemos, who, as you know, is very, very good. And you've got Holt and Everett. Holt's playing better right now, and Everett's better than they were last year. So you got a tough district. Even though it's only 5 teams, you got a tough district coming up. Yeah, of course. When you get to the playoffs, man, it's 0-0. Everybody has a clean slate, and everything goes to another level. And our district is very tough, you said. We go to Mason, we have Okemos, Holden, Everett there. Anybody can beat anybody. So that's the whole point. You got to be playing your best basketball that week, to start off in this one game at a time. And we always say, in order to win the championship or whatever you're going to do, you got to beat the best team. So, we're going to try to prepare to the best of our abilities and just be ready to play whoever we got to face.
He's Coach Ray Mitchell in his 6th season for East Lansing boys basketball. His Trojans are 16-2 overall, 8-0 in league play. Coach, thanks so much for coming on. We'll be following you down the road.
Thank you.
All right, Coach Ray Mitchell joining me here on High School Rewind. We'll take a timeout and come back. We got to get to the other action around the area that occurred last night. Another league champion was crowned, at least a share of a league champion was crowned on the girls' side. We'll get to that and all the other action that occurred during the week coming up. This is High School Rewind on the game 730 AM WVFN and the Lansing Sports Network. And it's brought to you by the Lansing Sports Commission and Jeff and Chris Metz and Downing Industries.
Lansing Sports Station, the game, 730 AM.
Welcome back to High School Rewind here on the game, 730 AM WVFN. We thank Coach Ray Mitchell. Very busy schedule on weekends, and that was really the only time he could come on. Normally I like to do interviews in this particular segment, but that was not available, and sometimes you got to get these coaches when they are available. So congratulations to him. I thought he did a terrific coaching job in the first half, massaging all the foul trouble and playing a lot of guys, and like I said, stealing a couple of minutes here and there in the second quarter, preventing some of his top guys get into major foul trouble, and they were able to hang on and keep had a 6-point lead at the half, and they were able to hang on and make plays at the end to get the win, 57-53. Other action last night, Sexton is in control in the CAA CEO White. They beat Charlotte at the Oriole Dome last night, 51-48. Keyshawn Somerville, their excellent sophomore, he had 13 points, balanced scoring attack for Sexton. They are in great shape in the CAA CEO White. They are now 10-0 in league play. They've got a 3-game lead over Charlotte and Olivet with 4 games left in conference play. Sure looks like Sexton's going to win that outright league championship, and that would be tremendous for first-year coach DeLeon Deering and assistant coach Dale Beard. Congratulations to them. That's a great road win. They've got road wins at Olivet, and they got road wins at Charlotte. And they still got to play at Portland coming up, but that is a very good win. Going down to Charlotte, maybe the best place, probably, other than Don Johnson Fieldhouse, probably the best place to watch a high school basketball game. Lansing Catholic's playing a little bit better right now. They've struggled this season, but they beat Eaton Rapids on the road on a Lucas Payne 3-pointer at the buzzer. Excuse me. Congratulations to them. Olivet winning on the road last night, 52-50. Bryce Wine hitting 2 free throws with less than a second to go to keep them to get them to 13-5. They're 7-3 in the league. Talked about it a little bit on Stout on Sports yesterday. The Langsburg Wolfpack, they played an NBA schedule this week. Talked about it with boys basketball coach Tim Beebe for Langsburg last week, and they had 3 league games coming up in 3 straight days. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they won each of them easily. And how about Xander Woodruff, the All-Stater? He's probably going to be an All-Stater again in Division III. 43 points in their victory over Saranac, or Lansing Christian, rather, on Thursday. Langsburg is 18-0 on the season. Going back to last year, they have won, let me do the quick addition, 40 of their last 41 games. Yeah, that's right. They were 25-1 last year, got beat in the quarterfinals by Ecorse. They are 18-0 now, so let me do the quick addition here. That's 43 wins in their last 44 games. And dating back 2 years before that, it's 46 wins in their last 48 games. Pretty amazing right there. Powama Westphalia is right behind them now. Only 2 losses in league play, only 2 losses on the season have been to Langsburg. They're 15-2 overall. They're 12-2 in the league. They were able to get a couple of wins this week. Great. And talk about Xander Woodruff being All-State. Grady Eklund's probably going to be an All-Stater in Division III this year. Also in play last night. Not a lot of games last night on the boys' side. Williamston was able to win. They beat Hazlitt last night, 50-31. Ben Smith had 20 to lead Williamston. Fowler was able to be victorious. They won at Potterville pretty easily. Leslie lost to Napoleon 56-42. And Ovid Elsie gets a big win. They beat Byron last night 73-31. Some of the other action that occurred, let's see. Well, let's keep going here. Taking a look at some of the action on Thursday. Yeah, Portland St. Pat's beat Perry in overtime 73-70. Mason over Fowlerville. Congrats to Mason. They beat Fowlerville 68-45 behind Luke Marlins, 26 points. Case and Carswell, 17. And Mason wins the outright league championship in the CAAC Red for the second year in a row. They clinch it. They're 17-2 now. It's all theirs, and now they get to host their district. You got to give them a chance in that district at home, playing either East Lansing, Okemos, Holt, or Everett. That's coming up. Congratulations to Lee Cheney and his squad. Mentioned Grady Eklund. They beat Dansville on Thursday, 55-33. And they're still right behind them, right behind Langsburg. They're no worse. They're going to finish no worse than second in the CMAC. So congratulations to Coach Dominic Schneider. They've had a heck of a year, and just the 2 losses to Langsburg this season. Portland beat Lakewood. Portland's better under second-year coach Luke Pohl. They beat Lakewood on Thursday, 52-44. And that's some of the action that occurred earlier this week. On the girls' side, man, congratulations are in order to Williamston girls basketball. Pete Cool, couple of down years since COVID. They're right back up there. They clinch a share of the CAAC Red Championship by beating Hazlitt last night at Hazlitt, 57-38. Reese Gaitan, 18 points to lead Williamston. Claire Casey had 15, and they're in the driver's seat. They've got a share of the league championship, one more league win, and the title is theirs all to themselves. They are 12-4 overall, and just got to win one of their last 2 league games to clinch the outright championship. Taking a look at some of the other action as well. Let's see here. Well, in a game that was really, really low scoring, to say the least, Puama Westphalia won at Dansville, 28-20. Now, we were following along. Me and Eric were following along on Twitter while we were broadcasting the game, and it was 6-5 PW at the half. So we figure, teams are just stalling it out. They're not stalling it out against each other, keeping it low scoring. No, we were told by Chuck Kraft, Bleacher Denizen, nobody's stalling. Nobody can make a shot. And PW picked it up in the second half, wins it 28-20, and that damages Dansville's chances of winning at least a share of the CMAC champs. They were outright league champs last year. Going to be a lot tougher for them because St. Pat's and Fowler, they just keep winning right now. Another team that's still there is Bath. They beat Saranac last night, 68-25. Aubrey Torok had 22 points. Fowler beat Potterville 57-28. Rebecca Smith, 12 points there for Fowler. And Portland St. Pat's crushed Perry 60-18. Riley Schurer had 14 points, 5 rebounds for Coach Al Schraben. So these are the CMAC standings right now. St. Pat's 12-1 in league play. Fowler is 11-2. Dansville is 10-3, and Bath is 10-3 right now. So those 4 teams going right down to the wire in the league race. And so that's what we got there. In the CAAC White, Lansing Catholic blew out another opponent, 63-27 over Eaton Rapids on the road. Anna Richards, 30 points. She had 7 3-pointers. And Leah Richards in double figures. She had 11. And it was the Richards sisters on Tuesday night in their big win over Hazlitt. They were able to win that in a terrific balanced performance for the Lady Cougars. They were able to win it, and wow! And off the bench, T.R. Repahowski was terrific as well. They were able to win it 48-37 over Hazlitt. I was at that game on Thursday, on a Tuesday night. So congratulations to them. Oh yes, and by the way, Lansing Catholic goes to Portland coming up next Tuesday. and that's going to be for the league championship. If Catholic wins that, they're going to win the outright league title, and if Portland wins, it could end up as a tie. Lansing Catholic 8-0 in league play. They are 13-3 overall. They had one of their losses rescinded. Got a forfeit win in one of the games they lost to Detroit Mumford. So they get that win back, and they're 13-3 now. Portland, 14-1 overall. They are 8-1 in league play. Only loss was to Lansing Catholic. They got beat by 24 back in January. So that's what we got there. Looks like DeWitt and Holt are going to be, and East Lansing going to go right down to the wire here in the blue. DeWitt 8-0 in league play. Holt 7-1. Only loss was to DeWitt in the league play, and East Lansing is now 7-2. Other teams to look at, and we'll talk about them a little bit coming up with Brian Calloway, the prep sports editor of the Lansing State Journal. He's coming up in just a little bit. Ovid Elsie 13-2. Ava Bates leading the way for them, and Leslie, team that's a little out of the radar. They play Jackson area teams in the Cascade Conference. They are 13-3 right now, so we'll talk to them talk about them in just a little bit. Coming up, it is Brian Calloway, the prep sports editor of the LSJ, Lansing State Journal, LSJ.com, and he's coming up after this timeout. You're listening to your trusted source for high school sports coverage. The game 7:30 a.m. WVFN, brought to you by Jeff and Chris Metz and Dowding Industries, as well as the Lansing Sports Commission.
WVFN.
Welcome back to High School Rewind here on the game, 7:30 a.m. WVFN, the weekly show that recaps the week that was in boys and girls high school basketball, brought to you by Dowding Industries, Jeff and Chris Metz and Dowding Industries, as well as the Lansing Sports Commission. Joining me now, the prep sports editor for the Lansing State Journal, LSJ.com. He is Brian Calloway, and man, we saw a classic last night at Waverly High School, Phil Odlum Gymnasium, East Lansing and Waverly. And East Lansing pulls it out in the end, 57-53, scoring the last 6 points of the game. And it came down to a sophomore making the plays he has to make to win the game. And I'm talking about Kelvin Torbert Jr., KJ Torbert, the sophomore at East Lansing. 14 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, but he made the plays of the game at the very end.
You know, he really did. I mean, pretty much he kind of had a quiet offensive night outside of the last 2:30 of the game when he hit 3 big free throws that tied the game back up after Waverly had taken a 3-point lead. And then obviously the 2 final plays of the night when he has a putback off of a teammate's miss in transition to break a tie at 53, and then after a Waverly timeout comes up with a timely steal and goes in for a jam, but to all but put a punctuation on a very tight win for East Lansing. So, but yeah, I mean, he definitely came through and crunch time for East Lansing and helped them, maintain their 1-game lead atop the CAAC Blue standings.
Yeah, they're 8-0 in the league now. They're 16-2 overall. Very impressive. Great atmosphere last night at Phil Odlum Gymnasium, and a nice coaching job by Ray Mitchell massaging the foul trouble that his team was in. J.L. Branson, 4 fouls. Cam Hudson, 4 fouls. Christian Dunn and Charlie Baker each had 3 fouls. And Cam Hudson played the majority of the second half in foul trouble, and I think he played almost the entire fourth quarter with 4 fouls.
Yeah, and, obviously there was a point in time in that third quarter when Cam Hudson picked up his 3rd foul, I think with the 5-minute mark, 5:50, and then shortly after, J.L. Branson picked up his 3rd foul, and both of those guys went out the game. And at that point in time, East Lansing was threatening to pull away because that's when they had gone up 14 early in the third quarter. But then with those guys on the bench, Waverly got back in it, and Ray Mitchell was forced to put those guys back on the floor as well too, and they pretty much stayed on the floor for the rest of the way for East Lansing.
And it was a great win and just a great atmosphere. Nice job keeping the fans under control. It could have been an ugly situation had it gotten out of control, but thankfully it did not, and it turned out to be just a great ball game. And it was really a privilege to be there. As far as the other boys' action around the mid-Michigan area, I mean, Sexton, big road win at Charlotte, going down to the Oriole Dome and beating the Orioles for the second time this season. And now they've got a stranglehold on the CAAC White. They are 10-0 in league play, 11-4 overall. They got a 3-game lead over Charlotte and Olivet. 3-game lead with 4 games to go. Yeah, you pretty much have it.
Yeah, they obviously, I think, Ionia is a team that's up on deck next, and Ionia has been playing some better basketball of late, and they took Olivet to the wire last night, and they had some other nice wins of late as well too. So it's not going to be easy, but they're definitely in a good position to give the program its first league championship in 12 years.
And congratulations to Mason winning the outright CAAC Red Championship by beating Fowlerville on Thursday. They've got a full squad. They're healthy right now, and they've got a chance in that Mason district, even though East Lansing and Okemos are in there with them.
Yeah, no, that's a very tough district right there when you look at the likes of East Lansing and Okemos also being a part of that field. And it's going to be some good basketball there, that's for sure, when all those teams are together. But, it's they're trending in the right direction as, they get ready for the state tournament. But obviously, for them, it's going to be, working on themselves now that they've got the league officially wrapped up.
Speaking with Brian Calloway, prep sports editor of the Lansing State Journal, LSJ.com. On to the CMAC. Langsburg just completed an NBA schedule, playing 3 straight games in 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. They won all of them pretty easily. 15-0 overall, 15-0 in CMAC play, 18-0 overall. And it's Xander Woodruff, and Xander Woodruff, for the most part, with little help from, more than a little help from Ty Randall, who's healthy now. But, man, Xander Woodruff, 43 points the other night against Saranac. He is now the school's all-time leading scorer.
Yeah, that's impressive. I think that's his 3rd game with at least 40 points this year. He had 42 just a couple of weeks ago and a win as well, too. I think it was over Fowler that he had the 42 points. But, no, yeah, he keeps delivering big performance after big performance for Langsburg and has them, rolling along, as we get ready and as we enter the final couple of weeks of the regular season here.
Yeah, definitely. Just been fantastic. Got to talk about Okemos a little bit. They're right on the heels of East Lansing. They're going to play last week of the season, probably for at least a share of the league championship. They're 16-2 right now. They're 8-1 in league play, and they beat Grand Ledge at home 69-43. 4 players in double figures. The Walton brothers, of course, were in double figures. Brandon Pruitt had 11, and Colin Alexander, 19 points. Okemos has had issues in recent years coming up with third scorers, and they've got it now with Colin Alexander after the Walton twins.
They definitely have a lot of options. The Walton twins have, taken a big jump this year and been big key players for them with what they've been able to do scoring-wise and just rebounding-wise as well, too. And just their size has presented, all kinds of challenges for opponents as well, too, because as Callan Walton, said to me last week, is like, you can't double both of us. So you kind of got to pick your poison, so to speak. So they're able to create some problems with their size, and then when you get guys like Callan Alexander knocking down threes, Brandon Pruitt has had some big moments. Kristen Chu, they've got some pieces there where they can do some things. That's for sure.
All right, moving on to girls basketball, and probably the story last night, to the surprise of myself and some other people, Williamston winning a share of the CAAC Red Championship, 8-0 in league play. They beat Hazlitt for the 2nd time this year, going on the road to beat Hazlitt, 57-38. And Reese Gaitan, all 19 points for Coach Pete Cool.
No, yeah, that's a very impressive win for Williamston to be able to go on the road and beat Hazlitt. And I think you were there as well too on Tuesday.
Yep.
We just saw Hazlitt, take Lansing Catholic, to a pretty good game where they almost made a comeback after being down by double figures, and they threatened to get within 4 in the late stages of the 4th quarter before Lansing Catholic pulled away. But yeah, for Williamston to do what they did going on the road and beating them by 15 points after it was a 2-point game the first time that those two teams met as well too. So very impressive for Williamston and Coach Pete Cool for what they were able to do.
Yeah, winning last night. Lansing Catholic keeps rolling along. Yeah, they beat Hazlitt last Tuesday at Hazlitt. Looks like it's, Catholic and Portland, they're just kind of getting ready to play each other next Tuesday night. That'll be one of the marquee games next week, Lansing Catholic at Portland. If Catholic wins that one, they'll win the CAAC White again, and Portland trying to avenge their only loss of the season.
Yeah, that's going to be definitely a good game, like you said. And, obviously the first time that those two teams met, Lansing Catholic just went off and had a hot shooting night, knocked down a lot of threes, and was able to take control in that game and win pretty convincingly. But now they've got to go to Portland, and then we'll see how things turn out there when Portland's on its home floor.
Brian Calloway, prep sports editor of the Lansing State Journal, LSJ.com. In the CMAC, really weird game last night at Dansville High School. Low-scoring game. Pewamo Westphalia goes on the road and upsets Dansville 28-20. Now, we were told by our friend Chuck Kraft at the Bleacher Denison, he was at the game. It was 6-5 PW at halftime, and nobody was stalling. It's just one of those games where nobody can make a shot.
Yeah, that's especially when you have like a big scorer like Megan Zeitz. You don't really anticipate, to have a low-scoring game like that at the half. But no, that's what it was. I also heard about the low scoring in this game when I was on the sidelines at Waverly last night, just talking to a couple of the TV people as well too. That one of them had seen a guy there and had mentioned the score after the first quarter and whatnot as well too. So yeah, very uncharacteristic game, but no. Big win for Pewamo Westphalia, and I think they knocked off Bath earlier in the week as well too. So, they've been able to pick up some pretty nice wins of late here.
Yeah, and it's still a 4-team race now in the CMAC. St. Pat's and Fowler won earlier in the week twice. St. Pat's 12-1 in league play now. Fowler is 11-2. Dansville drops to 10-3, and Bath not out of it yet either. They're 10-3. Looks like it's going to be those 4 teams. Right to the end, like we talked about a bit last week. It's still a mess, but it's starting to, organize itself, if you want to say. Got to ask you about DeWitt. They won earlier this week against Okemos, leading the CAAC Blue, and they found a third scorer themselves in sophomore Carly Dennis.
No, she's definitely been big for them. I saw DeWitt against East Lansing a couple of weeks ago, and she's been impressive with the way that she's been able to step up for them. And in the game I saw her, she had over 20 points in that win that they got on the road over East Lansing. So, that's just big for them. And, it takes a little bit off the pressure off Maddie Yule and Tara Kearns as well, too, because obviously those two are known commodities based on what they've been able to do at the varsity level since, they were freshmen making a mark for this DeWitt program. So, that's a big addition for them. To get additional scoring. Sophia Bayland, she stepped up at guard for them as well too, and so she was big in the game. I saw her against East Lansing. So DeWitt definitely does have some pieces that's helped them to maintain that top spot in the CAAC Blue. And
finally, I got to ask you about a couple of teams that are on the periphery of our listening area. Ovid Elsie and Leslie. We know about Ovid Elsie. They were regional champs last year. They beat Dansville in that regional championship game, got to the quarterfinals. Ava Bates, their leading scorer, she had 25 big points last night in an easy win over Byron. They are 13-2 right now, and Leslie is now 13-3 overall. They crushed Napoleon last night. Riley Burley, 17 points to lead Leslie. We know about Ovid Elsie a bit more, but Leslie, a team that plays out of the area as far as conference play goes. But hey, 13-3 is 13-3.
No, they're definitely having a lot of success. And Riley Burley, Lily Smiska. They have some pieces down there as well too. We just don't see as much of them just because they're playing a lot of the Jackson area teams now. And then you mentioned Ovid Elsie. The 2 losses that they had this year are just to Portland St. Patrick, which has been on a roll the last several weeks here. And then, Williamston, which obviously we just mentioned, picking up the big win that they did over Hazlitt, just last night as well, too. So no shame for Ovid Elsie and those 2 losses that they had. They played those are very good teams there. And, this could be a team that could make some noise in Division III again. So it'll be kind of interesting to follow them. Ava Bates is, headed to Northern Michigan, so to continue her basketball career. So there's definitely some talent on that roster around, and there's some talent on the roster around her. So
Brian Calloway, Prep Sports Editor of the Lansing State Journal, LSJ.com. Brian, we'll have lots to talk about next week because the boys' district pairings will be announced coming up. They're going to figure it out tomorrow and then publicize it either Monday or Tuesday. So lots to talk about next week. Thank you, sir.
Hey, no problem, Brock. Thanks for having me.
You're listening to your trusted source for high school sports coverage, the game 730 AM WVFN. This is High School Rewind. Welcome back to the final stretch of this week's edition of High School Rewind here on the game 730 AM WVFN. The weekly show recapping the week that was in boys and girls basketball. I want to thank Ray Mitchell, veteran boys basketball coach at East Lansing High School. I guess 60-year guy. Yeah, I think you can call him a veteran. And, of course, Brian Calloway from the Lansing State Journal. We thank him for joining us as he does every single week. Today's show, and all season long, brought to you by Jeff and Chris Metz and Dowding Industries. If you're wondering what your future holds and you're not going to college, you found out college just isn't for you. You can check out the future that skilled trades can offer you. You'll be surprised. Check them out at dowdingindustries.com. And, of course, by Megan Zemer and their great staff at the Lansing Sports Commission. No matter the sport, the Lansing Sports Commission can make your next event your best event. Plan on something greater. Find out more at lansingsports.org. There is some action today in boys and girls basketball. Just one game on the boys' side. Stockbridge is hosting Clinton. Stockbridge 12-4 on the season. They've had a very good year. And playing as an independent, this is the last year they're playing as an independent. They're moving into a league coming up next year. But, hey, having a good year. 12-4 on the season. They are hosting Clinton. This is a makeup game from one of the storm days that we had back in January. And on the girls' side, there are 3 games as well. Clinton and Stockbridge play each other on the girls' side as well. Makeup from earlier in the season. Also, Leslie is at Marshall and Olivet is at Springport. So that's the action that's going on today. And you maybe heard me mention that during the interview with Brian Calloway. The boys basketball pairings are going to be announced coming up next week. The MHSA will get together and they will figure out what the pairings are tomorrow, and then they will publicize them for everybody either Monday or Tuesday of next week. And we will talk about them extensively. We'll go over all the pairings, all the districts that involve area teams. We're going to spend a segment doing that coming up next week. May not have a guest next week just because of the boys pairings being announced. And then the following Saturday, the girls basketball pairings, district pairings will be announced. So, looking forward to that. We're getting close to the end of the season. 2 weeks left for the boys. 3 weeks left for the girls before their state tournaments begin. Coming up today here on the Town Square Media family of stations and the Lansing Sports Network, we got a busy day today. Coming up at 12 noon on 1240 WJIM and Classic Rock 94.9 MMQ. It is live at Breslin. Steve Goff, Chris Solari will be in the concourse at the Jack Breslin Student Event Center in advance of the Michigan State-Illinois basketball game coming up today. Live at Breslin airs from 12 to 1, 1240 WJIM, Classic Rock 94.9 MMQ. And then at 1 o'clock, it is network coverage of Michigan State and Illinois from the Breslin Center. 1240 WJIM, Classic Rock 94.9 MMQ. Coming up here on WVFN, it is 1245 time. At the 1245, the Detroit Red Wings back from 10 days off. And they play the Vancouver Canucks today at Little Caesars Arena. This in advance of a big West Coast road trip for the Red Wings. Looks like they're going to have everybody healthy for this game, including Patrick Kane and Ville Husso. They may play today. So, Red Wings and Vancouver Canucks here on WVFN at 1245. Mentioned MSU men's basketball. And then coming up at 8 o'clock tonight, it's the duel in the D. Michigan and Michigan State from Little Caesars Arena. 8 o'clock pregame with Scott Moore and Rob Woodward. That's on WJIM AM 1240. That's coming up tonight. Great win for Michigan State hockey last night, beating Michigan at Yost Ice Arena. Beat them 5-1. I guess it was 1-1 at the end of 2 periods of play, and Michigan State put it to them in the third period. Great win for Michigan State and Coach Adam Nightingale. Coming up next week, well, we're not sure what game we're going to be doing next week. Could be a boys' game, could be a girls' game. We don't know. We're not sure. We'll let you know early next week. Eric and I will talk coming up tomorrow and figure out what games to do. What game or games to do. Here are some of the action that's coming up next week. Waverly is at Okemos. That's a top-level game there, but we won't be able to bring that game to you on these airwaves due to prior commitments, work commitments for both of us. Holt is at East Lansing. Everett at DeWitt in the CAAC Blue. Ovid Elsie is at Byron. Langsburg, they go out of the league for one of the rare times this season, as they've got 18 league games. Well, they're playing at Freeland coming up on Monday. Ovid Elsie is at Byron. Durand at Weberville. Grass Lake is at Leslie. Taking a look at some of the action on Tuesday. Let's see. Mason is at Grand Ledge. Williamston hosts Flushing. St. John's is at Stockbridge. Lakewood is at Sexton. Portland at Lansing Catholic. Dansville at Bath. Perry at Fowler. PW is at Potterville. Ovid Elsie is at Corunna. On Thursday, PW at Bath. Langsburg is at Dansville in the CMAC. Williamston is at Fowlerville. And on Friday, DeWitt is at East Lansing. Waverly at Grand Ledge. Okemos is at Holt. That's some of the Friday action there. Ovid Elsie at Durand. Ionia is at Sexton. And then on Saturday, Eastern at Sexton. No longer league rivals, but great rivalry there. They'll be at the Clayton Kowalk Gymnasium over at Sexton High School. That's some of the boys' games this coming week. And as far as girls basketball goes, the big one's Tuesday night at Portland High School. Lansing Catholic is at Portland. That's going to be for the CAAC White Championship. Lansing Catholic in the lead. They win that, they can basically take the league to themselves. And that's the big one coming up on Tuesday. Wednesday, Bath is at Dansville. Portland St. Pat's at Lansing Christian. Some of the other action, East Lansing at DeWitt on Thursday. And Okemos at Holt amongst the other action. And that's what's coming up next week. We'll let you know early next week as to what games we're going to do. That's going to do it for us here. Thank you for listening. High School Rewind here on the game, 730 AM WVFN and the Lansing Sports Network. Talk to you next week.